Have you ever noticed how some people just seem to have this almost supernatural control over their environment? And they do it without even raising their voice. They don't shout, they don't beg, they literally just withdraw. Well, welcome to this explainer, because today we're unpacking a massive, radical shift in how we handle our own presence, totally based on the brilliant concepts of Carl Jung. I mean, just imagine if you stopped reacting immediately to every single thing thrown your way. What if you actually chose silence instead of that automatic emotional explosion? Suddenly, you're not just reacting anymore, right? You're actually taking command of your reality.
How long will you react like a puppet? Honestly, it's a direct confrontation we all really need to face. Think about it. Every time someone pokes a sore spot and you immediately explode, or you bend over backward trying to fix a situation, you're just handing them the strings. You're giving away your precious energy to please people, to keep this kind of false peace, and to keep people around who, deep down, might not even truly be there for you. The core problem here is that you're making yourself entirely too available to people who simply do not deserve it.
Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves. Carl Jung totally nailed this. Let's shift our perspective for a second and look at this practically. When you stop being so incredibly accessible, who gets desperate? Who gets irritated? Who tries to provoke you just to squeeze some kind of emotional reaction out of you? You know, their desperation actually reveals way more about them than it does about you. It completely exposes just how much you're being manipulated without even realizing it.
Section 1. The Prison of the Persona. Persona. It's the mask we wear to be accepted, loved, and recognized by society. You see, ever since childhood, we've been shaped by this societal conditioning. It falsely links our self-worth to how quickly we respond and how constantly present we are for everybody else. We're taught to always be on, right? To be the helpful one, the reliable one, basically believing that our value entirely depends on our utility to the world. Jung called this exact trap the persona. But here's the really tragic part about wearing that mask. It forces us into this subtle, daily form of self-abandonment. You are literally suffocating yourself behind a polite smile, firing off immediate responses to texts, and saying yes when every single fiber of your being is screaming no. And why? All just to avoid the perceived threat of rejection.
We really need to shatter an illusion right now. So, the societal lie tells you that availability equals virtue. It's this illusion that if you're always present for everyone, they're going to magically be present for you. But the Jungian truth? Availability equals a prison. When you are always there, you become entirely predictable. You basically stop being a dynamic person and turn into an emotional emergency button. You know, someone people just press when they want quick relief, distraction, or validation, only to put you right back on the shelf the second they're done.
Section 2. Guarding your psychic energy. To break out of this prison, we have to recognize that Jung didn't see the human mind as some automatic machine that just reacts to everything without consequence. No, he viewed it as a highly valuable, strictly limited energy system. And consider how this psychic energy gets drained every single day. So many of us are spending massive amounts of our vital force, like, say, 80% on trying to please others, maybe 15% defending ourselves against completely irrelevant criticism, leaving a measly 5% for our own actual well-being. That's it. When you get sucked into useless discussions or lose sleep over some unresolved argument, you're not just wasting time. You are bleeding psychic energy without getting any return on your investment.
That which you resist persists. It perfectly summarizes a really crucial point. When you impulsively react to provocations, you don't actually solve the problem. You actually just bind yourself tighter to the very people who are draining you. You're feeding the dynamic. And when you're emotionally exhausted from constantly reacting, well, you become vulnerable. You become really easy prey for emotional vampires and opportunistic people who can just sense that you don't know how to protect your own internal system.
Section 3. Breaking the projection.
To stop being prey, we kind of have to navigate into some darker territory and explore the landscape of silent manipulation. Because opportunistic people, they don't actually need to yell at you, they just need to trigger your exposed emotional buttons. Here is the exact mechanism of projection, step by step. Step 1, the trigger. They poke that exposed nerve. Step 2, your automatic reaction. Driven by this deep fear of disappointing them, you react exactly how they expect. And step 3, their control. Because you're so emotionally available, you become a total blank canvas for their psychological projections. They project their shadow traits and insecurities right onto you, and you just accept the role because you're terrified of being abandoned. They don't even need to control you directly. They just need you to keep reacting.
But right here is the massive turning point. The game breaks when you stop reacting. Think about it. If the manipulator relies entirely on your predictable response to maintain their control, your conscious silence completely shatters their narrative. When you just withdraw, instead of explaining yourself, that mask they forced onto you, it just falls right off. They are suddenly left totally unsettled, basically forced to face their own internal emptiness, all because you refuse to play the role anymore.
As Carl Jung so profoundly stated, we do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. When you finally pull back your energy, you force the other person's darkness right to the surface. You'll probably face a ton of criticism, wild accusations, and heavy emotional drama from them. And it's not because you did anything wrong. It's simply because you stopped serving as their convenient, always available emotional mirror. They're panicking because, frankly, the noise of their own shadow is suddenly deafening.
Section 4. Rebirth through conscious silence.
Surviving that initial drama is really the price of this rebirth. We have to completely reframe silence here. It is not passivity, and it's definitely not cowardice. True silence is brutally lucid. It's a strategic, undeniable mastery over your own energy and presence. It's the absolute refusal to be dragged down by someone else's emotional chaos. And this leads us to the incredibly powerful state of conscious unavailability. Defining this mindset is simple, but it is revolutionary. It means taking absolute, sovereign control of your peace. It means you become highly, unapologetically selective with who gets access to your soul. You finally recognize that your presence is a highly valuable, energetic investment. And you know what? You decide that not everyone deserves a payout.
Let's make this totally actionable. Putting silence into practice looks like true emotional discipline. It means not responding immediately to a text that bothers you. It means physically leaving chaotic discussions before you get dragged in. It's saying no without a single ounce of guilt, turning off your phone when you need space, and above all, refusing to justify your absence. You literally owe no one an explanation for protecting your own peace.
And this brings us to the ultimate goal of the source material: individuation. Individuation is the process of becoming whole, authentic, and complete by separating from the collective mask. This is that massive transition from being a predictable, always available persona to stepping into the mystery and power of your true self. But to achieve this, you have to enter a phase of temporary, sacred isolation. You need a space where you can relearn how to listen to your own voice without the deafening, constant noise of the world's demands.
As we map out this path to freedom, we can see it's a pretty intense emotional journey. First, there's the break, that initial silence that, honestly, feels incredibly uncomfortable. Then comes deconstruction, where you'll battle feelings of guilt, you'll feel selfish, and you'll definitely deal with pushback from others. But if you hold the line, it leads to rebirth, which brings total presence. This is where that initial discomfort totally transforms into the liberating solitude of the strong. You might lose people who only loved your utility, but you finally find total presence within yourself.
So I want to leave you with this lingering, provocative thought. Are you ready to be misunderstood for your freedom? Achieving total inner sovereignty means accepting that some people will intensely dislike the new, unavailable you. But true self-love begins when you choose yourself, even if it costs you their approval. The mystery and power of your own individuation is waiting.
Have you ever noticed